Hello everyone! For this episode, we are going to tackle about short story. Before we are able to appreciate short stories, we need to understand what is short story. So first, let's define what is short story. So it is a fictional narrative prose that can be read in one setting. It is also a recreation and reconstruction of life. Short story also presents human life in two levels. First level, the world of objective reality made up of human actions and experiences. And the second level is that the world of subjective reality dealing with human apprehensions and comprehensions. Both of these worlds are realms of facts, are connected and are mutually interdependent, yet they are not the same. Our appreciation of a short story can be increased by a thorough understanding of what a story is and about the tools or elements that an author makes use of in telling his story. So let's discuss the different elements of a short story. First, we have the plot. The plot is the sequence of the actions and events in a story to convey a theme. It is the skeleton or the blueprint of a story. So we have the following terms explain what happened in a plot. So ano ba ang mangyayari sa ating plot ng ating kwento? So first we have the exposition. So the exposition, it is the introduction. This comes at the beginning of a story. So dito yung nagsisimula ang ating kwento. Next is the rising action or the complication. So dito, the struggle grows stronger. So nandito na yung mga different complications ng story. Yung mga conflict na mga nangyayari sa kwento. Next is the climax. So the most exciting part in the story is yung climax because it is the turning point kung ano ba ang mangyayari doon sa ating kwento. And next is the falling action. Events move towards the end of the story. So dito, unti-unti nang nagkakaroon ng solusyon kung ano yung naging conflict doon sa ating kwento. And lastly is the resolution or denouement. So the story is brought to an end. So ito na yung tinatawag natin na ending ng ating kwento. So now let's discuss about the kinds of plot. First, we have man in a hole. So the action begins with a man or group of men getting trapped in some kind of a hole, goes on to show how they try to climb out, and ends with them either escaping to safety or sliding back to the bottom for good. So example dito sa Man in a Hole is yung character ay dumaan sa malaking pagsubok. So sa pagsubok na iyon, nasa kanya yun kung paano niya yun malalampasan or kung hindi niya yun malalampasan ay mananatili siya doon sa sitwasyon na iyon. So yun yung tinatawag natin na Man in a Hole. Next is Man on a Road. This kind of plot is found more often in a novel than in a short story. A novel is an expanded short story. It has the same elements as in a short story. Many novels and short stories achieve their unity not through a single action but through a single hero walking through various stages on the road of life. Man on a Road is episodic. It tends to stretch out. So, sa Man on a Road, ikinukwento doon kung ano ba ang nangyari sa buhay ng isang character. So, kaya tinatawag siya na episodic. For example, isinasali doon sa kwento kung paano ba nagsimula ang isang character doon sa kwento. So, yun yung tinatawag natin na Man on a Road. Next is Man in a Tub. Landy and others explain this kind of a plot by giving a story of the Greek mathematician Archimedes, who was once asked to determine whether a crown belonging to a ruler was made of a pure gold. For some weeks, he puzzles about the problem, but without success. He knew that the silver weighs less than gold, but how could he measure any silver the crown might contain without destroying the crown? Still baffled, he went one day to the bathroom, and as he stepped into a tub, he observed the overflow of water. It suddenly dawned on him that he had found the solution to his problem. So overjoyed was he by his discovery that he forgot his towel and ran home through the street naked, shouting, "Eureka! Eureka!" So meaning, I have found it. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng Eureka. Man in a tub involves two steps. First, a straightforward, constructed, usually commonplace event. And second, a flash of realization can form the skeleton of a plot. So meaning, ang man in a tub is nagkakaroon ng realization yung mga character in the story. So yan yung iba't ibang uri ng plot. Next is the devices in plot. First, we have the chronological arrangement. It starts from the beginning of the event. So dito is dapat magkasunod-sunod talaga yung mga pangyayari sa kwento. Yun ang tinatawag natin na chronological arrangement. Next is in media res. This starts at the middle of the story. Kaya sometimes napapansin natin bakit nag-i-start doon sa conflict yung isang kwento. Yun ang tinatawag natin na in media res. So nagkakaroon lamang ng flashbacking kung ano ba ang nangyari, bakit ganun ang problema na nangyari doon sa kwento. So next is the flashback. Past events are shown to justify the conflict at present. So, yung flashback naman ay ginagawa siya para naman malaman natin kung ano ba ang dahilan ng isang problema doon sa kwento. Next is foreshadowing. The author presents insignificant events or details of the present to take on value by being indicators of future events. So dito naman, nagpapakita ng isang bagay o isang pangyayari yung author na magkakaroon ng kaugnayan sa mangyayari pa sa hinaharap. Yun yung tinatawag natin na foreshadowing. And lastly is the stream of consciousness. It is a continuous and random flow of ideas, feelings, sensations, association, and perceptions as they register on the protagonist's consciousness. So, nagkakaroon ng iba't ibang emosyon yung ating mga bida or yung protagonist ng ating kwento. Next element of a short story is the conflict. It is the struggle or complication involving the characters. So, we have different types of conflicts. First, we have man versus self. It occurs when the protagonist struggles within himself or herself, or the protagonist is pulled by two courses of action or by differing emotions. So sa man versus self, ang kalaban ng bida ay yung kanyang sarili. And also kung paano ba siya magdidesisyon sa isang bagay. Yun yung man versus self. Next is man versus man. It pits the protagonist against someone else. So, ang bida ay may kakalaban siya na ibang tao or person against person. Yun yung tinatawag na man versus man. Next is man versus society. Person against society happens when the protagonist is in conflict with the values of his or her society. Magsisimula ang man versus society kapag yung bida natin ay may ibang paniniwala doon sa particular society. So yun yung tinatawag natin na man versus society. So next element is the point of view. This refers to the angle of narration or from whose viewpoint the incidents in the story are told. The person who tells a story is called the narrator. So we have different point of view. First, we have the first person point of view. The writer narrates the story by using the personal pronoun I, who may be the central character or a minor figure who either observes or participates in the action. So, yun yung first person point of view. Next is the third person limited point of view. The unidentified author refers to his characters in the third person but limits himself by telling only what can be seen or heard inside the world of the story. It is otherwise called camera eye technique, as the narrator does not reveal about what the character thinks or feel. So, yan yung third person limited point of view. Next is the third person central point of view. The narrator refers to his characters in the third person but limits himself to narrating only what the central character thinks, feels, does, and what and whom the central character can observe. So, yan yung third person central point of view. And lastly is the omniscient point of view. The narrator acts as if he knows everything that happens, including the thoughts of the characters. So, alam niya lahat yung nangyayari doon sa kwento. Yan yung omniscient point of view. So, these are all the different types of point of view. So, next element of a short story is the setting. This is the locale and period in which the events occur. A story must take place in space and time and therefore must have some setting. But the importance of setting varies greatly from story to story. So, bawat kwento ay may iba't ibang setting. So, usually, the setting is introduced at the beginning. So, sa simula pa lang ay ipinapakita na kung saan ba ang setting ng ating kwento. However, details about time and place are scattered throughout the story. Siyempre, iba-iba naman yung time at saka ang place. Diba? For example, kung nangyari ba siya sa umaga, sa gabi, or particular areas, yun yung ating tinatawag na setting. Next element of a story is the character. This refers to any of the make-believe persons that are encountered in fiction. So, sila yung gumaganap sa ating kwento. So, we have different kinds of characters. First, we have the protagonist. It is the admirable character who embodies certain human ideals. So, yung protagonist natin ay siya yung bida sa ating kwento. Next is the antagonist, the character who provides some sort of contest or opposition for the protagonist. So, ito ay kilala natin bilang kontrabida na siyang kumakalaban sa ating bida. Sila yung tinatawag natin na antagonist. And next is the static or flat, the character which do not have flesh and blood qualities. They do not undergo changes. So, sila yung tinatawag natin na static or flat. For example, may mga bagay na may may significance siya doon sa ating kwento, kaya yun sila ang tinatawag na static or flat. Although non-living things sila, pero mahalaga yung kanilang ginagampanan doon sa ating kwento. Yun ang tinatawag nating static or flat. And lastly is the dynamic or full around character. They live lives of sorrow and joy, sinking and swimming in the visible tides of life, very much like us. So therefore, ang dynamic character, sila yung nagkakaroon ng iba't ibang emotion doon sa ating kwento. Kaya tinatawag sila na dynamic. And next element of our short story is the theme. The theme is the writer's message. It may be specifically stated in a story or it may be derived from the total effect of all the elements of a story. It is a generalization about life or human character that a story explicitly or implicitly embodies. So therefore, ang theme, ito yung gustong iparating ng author sa atin. Yun yung meaning ng kanyang kwento. Okay? And lastly is the symbol. A symbol is a word or phrase, a scene, or an episode that refers directly to one thing but suggests another thing as well. For a symbol to carry this double meaning, the affinity between the symbol and the thing symbolized must be recognizable. Like for example, rose symbolizes love. Therefore, a symbol symbolizes something. So that's all about short story. So I'm your teacher May, leaving this message of Neil Gaiman. Short stories are tiny windows into other worlds and other minds and dreams. They are journeys you can make to the far side of the universe and still be back in time for dinner. Thank you so much!